Okay, we are live, or I'm live tonight. Tonight is going to be a pre-recorded episode, so Kelly is here. Well, she's not here live right now, but she's in the live recording that I'm going to be playing here soon. Tonight we're talking about basically aliens and UFOs, basically. I'm going to be presenting a lot of theories that I think explain a lot of things about the world. We're going to be looking at a lot of different stuff. We're not going to be going deep on anything, but we're going to look at basically every conspiracy theory that we think or that I think is connected to aliens and UFOs. So here we go. My name is Jordan Henshaw.
And my name is Kelly Raybon.
I'm the mechanic.
And I'm the journalist. Together we're try and prove it.
Someone has been charged with aggravated murder and is facing the death penalty, so we better figure it out, right?
How do we tell the difference between an assertion that is true and an assertion that is false?
You've got to start with all of the evidence, and you don't have all the evidence just yet.
Okay, well, I have no idea. Whoever, but it's a dot.
Where's the dot?
Right there.
Science is not absolute. It doesn't say this is what happened for sure. It says this is the best explanation we have.
3, start sequence. 1. If one picture is worth 1,000 words, one field demonstration is worth 100 internet conspiracy theories.
I'm gonna ask something at the risk of, being wrong, okay? But we're all just friends here. We're all just talking.
Thanks for coming in, everyone. We have a great show for you tonight. It is pre-recorded, however. Kelly's not with me in person or live right now, but we're going to go ahead and hit the pre-recorded video, and I'll pop in occasionally if I want to pause it and tell you something after the fact, but most of the show is pre-recorded. I'm going to go ahead and start playing it now, and then it looks like Kelly is in the chat, and so that's great. but I'm going to play the video. It's about an hour and a half, but it's just our show, but it's pre-recorded. So we're not going to be responding to your comments. However, at the end, I will be responding to comments with you here right now, and I might show them on screen occasionally throughout the pre-recorded section. Okay, let's go ahead and get into it now. All right, tonight we are talking about a new topic that's similar to the topic we talked about last week, but it's different. I'm not going to tell you what the topic is just yet. The graphic here says the friends we forgot. I'm not going to tell you who it is yet, but you're probably going to figure it out pretty fast. But in the first half of this, I'm not going to say the word. I'm just going to show you the fingerprints of the people we're talking about, or the things that we're talking about. And then we're going to show who these people may actually be, what they may actually look like. So, Kelly, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much, Jordan. This sounds really fun. I like the mystery. I love to meet some new friends, but they sound familiar, you know?
So we are pre-recorded tonight because we had some scheduling difficulties, and that's okay. Sometimes we may have to do this, but we want to keep the same spot every single night or every single Thursday night so that we're so that you know that we're going to be here when you expect us to be here. So it's really important to us that when you expect us to be here, we're here. So without further ado, I'm going to play a clip from Jared Isaacman. Kelly, do you know who Jared Isaacman is?
No, tell me more.
He is the new NASA administrator. So he's the new person in charge at NASA. I'm going to switch our graphic here to this one.
And hold on, I must ask, new as of the beginning of the Trump administration, or new as of since all of the NASA scientists went missing, or
new as of like 3 months ago, I think.
Okay.
He was nominated at the beginning of the term, but then he had a falling out. Jared Isaacman this isn't really important to what we're talking about, but he had a falling out with Trump, and then the nomination was revoked, and then it was reinstated, and then he got approved. But he's new as of 3 months ago.
Okay, so still fresh. Got it.
Yes. Okay, this is the clip here.
I'm not hearing it yet.
Okay, because I muted it in the pre-show. That's right. So we have good music. So he's talking about the moon here.
Regolith. So the dust, the rock that's on the lunar surface, we're gonna 3D print. We're gonna work with. There's water ice on the south pole of the moon. We're going to work with that. We're going to perfect in situ resource manufacturing. So taking water ice and using it to make liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen, which are propellants we use in rockets. And why is this important? Because
so he's talking about when we go to the moon, it's really hard to get stuff to the moon. So if you want to go to the moon, you either have to take a whole lot of stuff to the moon, which is really hard, or you want to try to use the stuff that's already on the moon to help you do stuff. And what he's talking about is how do we go to the moon and use the resources on the moon to make resources that we can use, right? So if there's water on the moon, but it's in like this weird ice, we need a way to make the water useful so that we don't have to take all our water to the moon. Let's go to this PowerPoint here now. And okay, so we're engineers. We're going to go to a foreign planet. We are a lot more advanced than we are now, say maybe 100 years more advanced than we are now. We have two different options for the technology that we're going to use to do in situ resource manufacturing on some distant planet. Device option number one, the cons are it has a ton of moving parts. It handles small volumes of chemicals. It has software updates. It lasts 20 years, maybe. It's basically impossible to maintain because it's on a foreign planet. It's made of materials that will weather in like rain, snow, and ice. It'll be dust. I misspelled that. It will be dust in thousands of years. This is supposed to say pros. I did not edit this accurately.
You want it? We can go back. We can. Why don't we just start over on this part?
No, it's fine.
That's the beauty of a look live.
No, it's fine. We're doing it like it's alive. All right. So the pros of this system is you don't need high technology. High technology meaning technology that is slightly more advanced than what we have today. Option number 2, in situ resource manufacturing, option number 2, the pros are it has no moving parts, it handles enormous volumes of chemicals, it has no electronics, it is extremely reliable, it's impossible to break it, it's made of stone, and it lasts thousands of years. The only cons are you need slightly higher technology than we have today. What do you think in situ device number 2 is?
I don't know. And how far? Oh my goodness! Really?
Yeah.
What?
Remember that video we talked about last time?
Yes.
Remember this?
Between the two reaction chambers, and you can see the water is rising in the pump shaft.
Yep.
Okay.
Why is it 2 different colors?
It's because of the
So for those who didn't watch last week's episode, you should. It's a really great episode. This is the interior of the red pyramid. This is an ammonia plant. This is a chemical reactor that makes ammonia, which is fertilizer for agriculture. It's not a tomb. It's a chemical reactor. That's in situ resource manufacturing device number 2. I'm muted. I want to pop in here and add something. Another negative to using a pyramid or something like a pyramid is that what you're able to do with a pyramid is extremely limited compared to what you can do with like modern chemical plants. There's a lot of stuff you cannot do with pyramids. Like, it's very simple what you're able to do with a pyramid. So if the stuff you're trying to make is very simple and can be done with something with no moving parts, with just stones, it's a really great option. But if you need something that's comparable to like the refrigeration cycle, or you need extreme efficiency and like really complicated stuff, you can't use a pyramid, but you can use a pyramid for the simple types of stuff. So I just wanted to add that there. It has no moving parts, handles enormous volumes of liquid, of chemicals. It has no electronics. It is extremely reliable. It's impossible to break. It's made of stone, and it lasts thousands of years. It's thousands of years old, and it would probably still work if it wasn't like you could turn it back on if you wanted to. The only cons is you need high technology that's really good at cutting stone and moving stone that we don't have. And then the other option is something that looks like this right here, which, how long is that going to last? Like 20 years when you need a new one? It needs software updates. It needs constant maintenance. It's really complicated. What are some of the other details here? It's impossible to maintain. It's going to weather.
I don't know. If you ask my dad, he works on the pipe for those types of apparatus, so he could tell you exactly how the pipe needs to be treated to optimize it for the long haul.
Yeah, maybe he can look at the pyramid.
Maybe so. I'll have to ask him.
It has tons of moving parts, and it'll be dust in thousands of years. This thing right here is in the same sort of kind of class as a pyramid. This one's going to be gone. Is going to be replaced in 20 years, and it's going to be dust in thousands. This one's still here, and we can still figure out what this thing does. So when we go over to Jared Isaacman, back over here, he's talking about how do we make stuff on the moon? Well, if we had technology that makes it super easy to cut stone and make stone blocks and build pyramids, maybe Jared Isaacman wants to build a pyramid on the moon.
That's such a weird concept to me for not, again, I'm someone who hasn't looked into this at all. Okay, full disclosure, but to think about a concept that feels so old and archaic combined with something that feels so new age and off into the future smashed together in one.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It's mind-blowing.
It's really weird. We're going to switch gears here and go into Genesis in the Bible, chapter 6. I'm going to read from it directly here. Chapter 6, starting in verse 1. When human beings began to increase in number on the earth, and daughters were born to them, the sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose, aka the R word. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. They were the heroes of old, men of renown. So this is just in the Bible. Most people don't realize this is in the Bible. Let me try to get this thing off. No. There it goes. It disappeared. So this is talking about, okay, what is it saying here? The sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful. Who are the sons of God? There's a lot of interpretations of who the sons of God means. None of them are ordinary. I'm not going to tell you who that might be or where they might come from. I'll let you put two and two together. But this is in the Bible. And another thing that used to be in the Bible, or in much, much earlier versions of the Bible, is another story called the Book of Enoch. And the weirdness only increases from here.
In Abrahamic religions, souls of the righteous go to heaven after death. Maybe Jesus takes them by the hand, maybe they follow a loved one through the light, or maybe they just arrive there. This is not what happens to Enoch. Like Elijah, Enoch is physically taken to heaven and writes down everything he sees. He doesn't write this from memory. He's literally walking around with Uriel writing things down. He was instructed to do so by God. And although Enoch describes this journey in religious language, he's also pretty scientific. He describes seeing mountains below. He sees every river on earth. He describes seeing how the winds are made, possibly referring to cloud formations. Enoch sees all of this as divine, but his account could be referring to technology.
And I'll pause it there. That's a really great video, the Y-Files, the search for Noah's Ark, giants in the Book of Enoch. You should check it out. But we're going to move forward here to a completely different topic, because we're going topic to topic to topic to topic, ADHD mode. This is, you remember in Hawaii when there was the emergency alert saying that there was going to be a ballistic missile in Hawaii?
Yes.
There was panic in paradise today. An accidental alert went out across Hawaii, urging people to take shelter due to an incoming ballistic missile. The false alarm was eventually called off, but not before Hawaiians and tourists started scrambling.
So there's a story. There's an explanation that says it was an intern, that they didn't know what they were doing. It was a mistake. It's just this colossal mistake. There was never any real ballistic missile. But, you know, some people think maybe there was one and maybe something happened to it. I'm going to leave that there.
Hold on. Did you just say an intern?
I think that's the story, wasn't it?
Well, because I almost interrupted you before you started to say that I have a story. You know, I always have random stories. Rena Ninen, who is the anchor there, I interned with her when she was at Fox News. So,
oh, yeah?
Yeah, so it's funny. Just, I'm like, oh, I have an intern story too.
Cool. What was that like?
She was very, very kind, unlike Megyn Kelly.
Oh, yeah?
But
well,
yeah.
He's less famous. It's the famous people who you got to watch out for.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so Panic in Paradise and Leave It to the Interns. They may or may not have messed up on that one.
That's the excuse they give, but in matters of in extraordinary matters, you often give an ordinary excuse, right? You
Gotta
never
blame
know.
it on someone.
Yeah. Now we're going to go to Neil Armstrong. We're really jumping around here, but there's a rhyme and a reason to it. Neil Armstrong, at the end of his life, he gives this speech. Neil Armstrong is the guy who walked on the moon.
Today we have with us a group
He's not the guy. He's the first guy who walked on the moon.
of students among America's best. To you, we say, we have only completed a beginning. We leave you much that is undone. There are great ideas undiscovered, breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
That line has been, a lot of people have said a lot of things about that line. Remove one of truth's protective layers. What does that mean?
What do you think it means?
We're going to get to it at the end here.
One of truth's protective layers.
Pretty mysterious. But
Even
what we're doing is we're
delivery
planting.
there.
What's that?
Even the delivery there, there's a pause, and the way his cadence there, there's something peculiar about the way that he delivers it. Not just the words themselves, but it's almost a half smile, something peculiar about the way that he delivers it.
One of truth's protective layers. Available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
That has been overanalyzed by a lot of people, and it's really mysterious. Okay, and now we're going to go to a completely different topic yet again. Missing 411. Have you ever heard that before?
I've heard, what's the 411?
So missing 411, in our national parks, people go missing a lot. Now, it's a national forest, and it's dangerous in the forest. So you would expect people to go missing, and that's pretty normal. Like, that's what happens in the woods. Humans aren't necessarily the best at going into the woods and not dying. So you would expect a lot of people to go missing in the woods, but you would also expect to be able to find them most of the time. But what happens instead is this.
Every year, dozens of people go missing in the national parks. Most of them are found, but some of them are not, and they go missing under baffling circumstances. I'm Aiden Madison. In the next 45 seconds, I'm going to tell you exactly what the missing 411 profile is. There are several key points to this. One is that people go missing near water. They also go missing near boulder fields. A lot of these cases involve a significant elevation change. For some reason, berry shrubs are very commonly found near the location. Sudden weather changes are common, as are the inability of dogs to actually discover a scent of the missing person. The point of separation usually involves one of these aspects, of course. As well, when remains are found, they are often missing clothes, or clothes are found where no remains are found. In many of these cases, children are the ones going missing. And
So basically, the profile is you have someone go missing. They're right by you. You're walking down the trail. They're right behind you. You just talk to them. 1 minute goes by. You look behind you. They're no longer there. And then you spend 2 months, hundreds of people, millions of dollars trying to find them, and you can't find them. But they were just behind you 1 minute ago. Dogs can't find them. There's no tracks. There's no sign of disturbance. There's no anything. They just disappeared. They just vanished into thin air. This happens over and over and over and over again in our national parks. And sometimes the people are returned in places where it's impossible to get to. Children will end up at the top of a cliff that you cannot climb. And sometimes they will be returned to places that have already been searched 20 times. This happens over and over and over and over again. Something is taking them and returning them. And when they come back, they don't know what happened. But usually they don't come back. But when they do, they don't know what happened. You look like you want to say something.
Well, I was wanting to clarify if they were returning them dead or alive.
Usually dead, but sometimes alive. When it's children, sometimes it's alive. The children, like, you'll try to talk to them and ask them, where were you? And they won't remember, and the story they give doesn't make any sense.
Mm.
Now we're going to go to human DNA. Have you ever heard of a weird thing in human DNA that happened 200,000 years ago that seems to not be natural? No.
Maybe not.
The way that it happened. Scientists now know this, but they don't know what to do with what they have found. Is that there were mutations in our DNA that cannot be accounted for under natural circumstances. They don't happen in nature.
With the certain chromosomes?
Yes. For example, one of the most profound is chromosome number 2. Human chromosome 2, it's the second largest chromosome in the human body, in the cell. It has about 1,200 genes in that chromosome. Genes are little segments of the DNA. The chromosome is long strands of DNA, and then the genes are the shorter segments of the DNA. One of those genes is called TBR number 1. TBR 1 is responsible for our brain size. We showed up 200,000 years ago. We got a brain 50% larger than our nearest primate relative. The way that it happened.
But the important part is that gene mutation is not natural, or at least doesn't appear to be. That makes us so much smarter. Have you seen that movie with the Gollum guy in it? The one with the ape? Planet of the Dawn of the Apes or something?
No.
No. That's kind of the story there, where they do some gene mutation in an ape, and they make the ape really smart through a gene mutation, and then the apes take over the whole planet. Now we're going to go ahead.
I've heard of it, but I have not checked that one out yet.
It's a great movie. But now we're going to go to some oddities about the moon. The moon is really weird. It's way too big for our planet. Every other planet in our solar system and in other solar systems we can observe, the moons are supposed to be way, way, way smaller. So that's weird. And they're not supposed to be hollow, but ours is hollow, or at least appears to be, because it rings like a bell. When they crash a satellite into it, they have seismometers on the moon, and when you crash a satellite into it, the moon rings like a bell for like hours after you do that. It's not supposed to do that. No moons are it's impossible for a moon to be hollow, but ours rings like a bell, like it's hollow.
Why would it be impossible?
Because a satellite cannot form with a hollow core. That's not how satellites work. Because a satellite is formed with a small mass that becomes a bigger mass, that becomes a bigger mass, and it collects mass. And it's kind of like a black hole, I guess. Kind of, not really, but kind of like that. It just absorbs more and more and more mass and becomes more spherical as it gets bigger. That's how a moon forms. So there's no mechanism for it to be hollow, but ours rings like a bell. And the size of it is also odd, because it's exactly the right size to give us perfect eclipses. So that's weird.
What other things about our moon are exclusive?
These craters don't make any sense. And the basin of them seems like it's revealing a shell of some kind. Then there's the impact tests.
And to clarify there, the crater depth is really weird, because they're all the same depth. They don't go deeper than like this depth. They don't go deeper than that. There's no crater on the moon that's deeper than that. But the diameter varies.
Like for perspective, how deep is that? I mean, is that like
I don't know.
20 feet? Is that like 100 feet?
Let's find out. Let's find out, shall we? I should know that, but I don't. So let's find out. How deep are the craters on the moon? It says lunar crater depths vary widely. They really don't. Ranging from just a few hundred feet up to about 6 to 8 miles deep. Is that actually true? I don't think that's actually true. I'll have to get back to you on that one. I should know that. So maybe I'll have to retract that one. But that's what a lot of people say. Global analysis of crater depth, diameter ratios on the moon. This looks interesting. Let's check our work here and make sure we're not putting out garbage, yeah? So this is a good article, it looks like. Results. Crater depth is defined as the vertical distance from floor to crater, yeah. To evaluate spatial associations. We also found apparent latitudinal variations. Is this it right here? Average depth to diameter ratio. So this would be, if someone understands what this chart looks like, or what this chart is, they can check my work by looking at this chart. I guess the answer would be right there.
Let's see. Maybe there's a summary.
I'm gonna pop back in here real fast. I don't think I can share my screen because my video, yeah, I can't share my screen, but I'm going to, I did do some additional research on this in the meantime, because I have like 24 hours. I asked ChatGPT. It's not the most reliable source, but it says, yes, the credible version of the idea is not that all moon craters are capped at one fixed depth. It is that crater depth grows much more slowly than crater diameter once craters become large. So big lunar craters look surprisingly shallow relative to their size. But what NASA appears to say is that the reason for that is because it kind of settles in a weird way. So I don't, but then of course, like the conspiracy people say that there's like a metal shell underneath the ground on the moon. I don't know if there's actually a metal shell underneath the ground on the moon that's causing them to not go deeper. But the fact here is that the width does not appear to be, the ratio between the width and the depth is odd. And, you know, NASA has their explanation of that, but do they really know? Probably not. Intuitively, it seems really weird. And the fact that it rings like a bell is also really weird. I also want to pull up this super chat here from Wolves and Finance. Thank you so much. This is good information. I agree. I'm going to go back to the video.
Usually at the end.
Usually at the end. Conclusions and discussion. Our analysis provides there is a global power law relationship with an offset term between crater depth to diameter ratios and crater densities. Small craters on the lunar maria are deeper than those on the highlands. The deepest simple craters identified on the lunar maria and highlands provide a reference that these regions have a thickness of up to 2.3 kilometers for the bare basalts. This is not particularly revealing, but if you want to know the real answer, if that's true or not, this looks like it would be the article to look at. So you can check my work. And we're now going to go back to this, and who knows, maybe the rest of this is maybe false as well, but it's still interesting to listen to.
Then there's the impact tests, the Apollo 12 and Apollo 13, where the moon on a seismograph.
See, this is try and prove it. We don't just say stuff. We actually at least try to prove stuff.
Yeah.
Registered like a hollow object. And by the way, there's no moon that's a hollow object. Back before Carl Sagan became such a skeptic, he even commented on this and said that it's terrifying because no natural satellite is hollow. One of the other things that they noted with these impact tests was that the moon, it seemed to compensate and correct for the impact in a way that suggested there were oscillators inside the structure.
I don't know if that's true or not, but it still sounds interesting.
This editing is seeming very dramatic. It's making me, I don't know, I'm starting to feel a little suspicious about the claims in this YouTube short. It seems
Yeah.
like they're really trying to hype it up.
At least it's not Ancient Aliens level, yeah? We don't have any of that on here. All right, the last one. Okay, have you heard of the labyrinth
No, I don't think so.
in Egypt, like the Minotaur?
I mean, I've heard of it, but I'm not well enough to speak to it.
What is it?
I don't know. I've just heard the
Like a
name.
bunch of underground tunnels, right?
Yeah, it sounds like from a video game.
Yeah. It's real. They found it. It's real. So people in the audience who know what the labyrinth is, it appears to be real. The reports in history that detail what it looked like. We have the ground penetrating radar that actually has it. So we know it's real. This is an image of it right here. This is a GPR. That's what the labyrinth looks like. And that's underground. So we know what the labyrinth looks like, and I just lost my spot that I wanted. Where was my spot?
Somewhere right around there, maybe a little closer to the top.
Atrium where you can see all these levels, and it's like this big central chamber that connects to these multiple levels. It's open. It's at least 40 meters long. It's really tall, and in the center of it is what's more than 40 because it contains this single sort of 40 meter long object that's sitting in there.
So how did you find
it's metal? It's not unlike other metal that there seems to be a metallic object down there, and this isn't sort of crazy emerging science. This is a legitimate company that is using technology that's been well established in defense and in the UK defense. It came out of the UK military as a technology that's been more or less proven. So
he's talking about the technology they used to discover the labyrinth underground because it hasn't been explored yet.
And the guy that Tim Akers, rest in peace, unfortunately he's since passed, but he what he said about this object, like he is a credible guy to say this. He doesn't draw conclusions about what it might be, but other metal that he's seen, although they couldn't.
And they're saying that in the center atrium of the labyrinth, there is a metal object that's like 40 meters long. So that's pretty interesting. You can infer from that what you will. Okay, so that is the first segment here. We're at 30 minutes. That's good. What do you think so far?
Lots of fun, fast facts and interesting concepts.
So now we are going to go into what the topic tonight actually is, which is, not that. This.
You've stated that the government is in possession of potentially non-human spacecraft. Based on your experience and extensive conversations with experts, do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
something I can't discuss in public setting?
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
That's a government official telling us that. So when people ask, when is disclosure going to happen? When is someone from the government going to tell us and say, yes, there are aliens?
Extraterrestrials.
Something I can't discuss in public setting.
Okay, I can't ask when you think this occurred. If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
As I've stated publicly already in my News Nation interview, biologics came with some of these recoveries.
He's telling us that there's aliens in Congress. So you might not believe him because you might think he's an op or whatever, but we're at the stage now where the government, where a representative of the government is in open Congress telling us, yes, there are aliens.
What date?
So
what date was that?
The date from that was, according to the description, July 27, 2023 is when that was uploaded. I can find out when that was for sure, but I don't have that in front of me right now.
Well, I mean, if you see what that's from is it a news channel that had updated?
It's Channel 4 News.
Okay.
It's a British public broadcast service.
Got it.
So, like, when you ask, okay, when is disclosure going to happen? Who at the government do you need to tell you that there's aliens for you to believe it?
Yeah.
Like, who are you waiting for? Is it
Yeah,
the president?
it would be very interesting. We should add to the description of this episode, maybe even like the full congressional hearing.
Yeah.
I think
Let's
that would be cool because I'm sure there are many other nuggets from that hearing.
Mhm.
I'm gonna grab my dog real quick as he's having a fit. He still has his leash on from earlier.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go. So this part is
Yeah, we don't want you to go to jail.
Mr. Grush, as a result of your previous government work, have you met with people with direct knowledge or have direct knowledge yourself of non-human origin craft?
Yes, I personally interviewed those individuals.
so like he's just telling us that there's aliens, and he was like a former intelligence in our government, in open Congress and an open hearing. And this again says that it was July 26th, 2023.
So
These are
really,
like-
I mean, you didn't even have to wait for Trump, technically.
Nope, didn't have to wait. They're just telling us. And, you know, you think that there's going to be some day where they're going to land on the White House lawn and everyone's going to know immediately, like in that movie that I want you to see at the end of it.
Yes.
But maybe it's a gradual, very slow process where like they just come out and say it, but it's boring because it's a Senate hearing. Or was this Senate? I don't know if this was Senate or what. It just says congressional. I don't know. Like in a Congress hearing,
Mhm.
they just tell us, and then nobody really cares. We're just not really caring, and it's just a gradual thing where we just kind of grow to accept that this is something that that's coming out. There's never going to be one moment where everyone suddenly believes there's aliens. It's going to be a very slow process, I think. And we were on this one, and now we're going to go to the next one, which is, I think, the most obvious, inescapable proof of alien life.
So on March 13th, 1997, thousands reported seeing a V-shaped light formation in the sky. The Phoenix Lights have since sparked a lot of debate. Was it aliens, or is it just earthly explanation still up in the air?
ABC 15's Hannah Mincer reports the matter.
So the Phoenix Lights, basically a mile-wide spacecraft or some kind of craft just flew over a major U.S. city
Mhm.
for like an hour or something, and it had all these massive lights on it. It was like a mile wide, and it just flew over a city, and basically everyone in the city saw it. So it's like basically everyone in the city just saw what's obviously an alien UFO.
And
It's
it
like,
seemed to be one sole craft, or
yeah, because it
not
blotted out the
one
stars.
formation.
No, it blotted out the stars.
Got it.
And it was so low that people could see the texture of the craft.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, if you're looking for evidence of aliens, you obviously didn't live in Phoenix when that happened, because we don't have craft that are a mile wide and are dead silent that can just hover over a US city. That's not real. We don't have that. So if you see that, it's probably not from here. And yes, that happened. That was real. So like, what do you expect to have happen to convince you that there's aliens? A mile wide craft just casually strolled across the sky of a major US city. And it's just another UFO story. But it's not another UFO story. It actually happened. And there's no explanation for it. They say, oh, it was flares from a plane. It's like, no. People saw the craft. They saw the texture of the craft. It flew over the whole city. So, no, it's not flares. Next one is the aerial school UFO. Basically, what happened, you don't know the story, do you?
Mm-mm.
So, there's a school in Zimbabwe, I believe. Pretty sure it's Zimbabwe. I would ask the chat, but they're not with us right now. I'm pretty sure it was in Zimbabwe. There's this school in Africa, and the kids go out for recess, and a spaceship lands like in a field pretty close by. The kids run over, aliens come out, they talk to the kids, the aliens go back in their spaceship, and they leave. That happened.
That's wild.
By account, there were actually 3 beings. Two of them kind of remained within the line of sight from the playground to the craft. And another one, which is also one of my most vivid memories, was...
This is one of the kids who were there.
One of the beings actually darting from the craft towards the direction of the swimming pool. The swimming pool, which was probably about 200, 300, 400 meters to the left of the playground. And the most peculiar thing was the way in which it moved, because it almost felt as if it would disappear and appear a few meters ahead of itself.
So that's just one of the many students who have talked about it, and they all tell the same story.
I'm curious, what do the comments say?
When is the documentary finally coming out? One of the kids, when describing what she witnessed, said that one of the beings was running in slow motion. One of the best UFO cases, favorite UFO case, you're so lucky you saw what you saw. Interdimensional traveling beings know the importance of water. Sounds like teleportation in VR. Is it just me, or is it just me, or why is it that I can't find any aerial school phenomenon documentaries? He's the boy who said he drew the alien standing up. A lot of positive comments. It's not
Yeah,
like-
yeah. I was
Yeah.
just curious what the comments said. Very interesting.
White Files has a really good video on that as well.
Okay. Yeah, very cool.
And it's like, you might say, okay, well, this case is BS. Okay, there's okay, it's like that whack-a-mole game. If you figure out that, okay, this, I proved that this one is BS, it's a fraud, it's fake, it's not real. You pop that one down, 20 other cases come up. That's how many of these cases there are.
Yeah.
And I'm only going through a very small handful of them tonight. This is Bob Lazar. He worked at Area 51, at a subsection of Area 51. So when you imagine, what do you imagine when you think of Area 51?
Restricted access, but ultra top secret technology, and
You have UFOs?
yeah, UFOs.
Yeah. So Bob Lazar is the guy who was hired to go work at Area 51 and work on UFOs. Like, there have to be people who work there, who work on the UFOs, if it's true. And Bob Lazar is the guy who was the real person who worked there and worked on UFOs.
Between December of 1988 and April of 1989, I worked as a senior staff physicist in what has to be the most secret project in history. My job in this program was to be part of a back engineering team. This particular disc appeared to be in excellent condition, and because of its sleek appearance, I nicknamed it the sport model.
So
I worked as a senior
this-
staff physicist in what has to be the... This particular disc...
Where's that? I want this. So this right here, you know how when police have a witness to a murder and that witness is the only person who saw the murder, they have someone sketch it out and somehow they're able to make it really accurate.
Mhm.
That's basically what this movie here is, what this documentary here is. This image you're seeing of this UFO is basically photorealistic to what he saw
Got it.
or to what he remembers. And the comments he made when he looked at the renderings were he felt like he walked back into his past.
Wow.
So this is supposed to be super accurate to what he at least claims to have remembered, because they spent months and months and months going over every detail with him.
Team. Of course, we need some...
This right here is one of the things he worked on. This is the, we don't really know what to call it, but this is like the power plant basically of the craft.
223 grams, machined into a wedge like this. The program out at S4 consisted of
This was the workshop that he worked in, or this is the rendering they have of it.
Project Galileo.
Top was Project Galileo spacecraft.
And this is the inside of the spacecraft here, according to his memory. Okay, so you want to know what happens in Area 51, or what happened in Area 51 back in the day? Go watch this S4, the Bob Lazar story.
And that spacecraft had, how did they acquire that spacecraft? It had crashed, or how did they get a hold of it?
We don't know. The story Bob was told was that it was an archaeological dig.
Oh.
That's the story he was given. But we don't know if that's actually true or not. Moving on to star map. Oh, this is we're going on to alien abductions now.
Hey, Bonnie Hill. So you remember that story?
American Horror Story.
Yeah. And so they're driving, they see a UFO.
The Betty and Barney Hill story. This was the very first one, the first alien abduction story that became mainstream.
Hey, Bonnie Hill. So you remember that story?
American Horror Story.
Yeah. And so they're driving, they see a UFO. There's a detail that really stuck out. While they are up there talking with these aliens, there was one point where she saw just a notebook of journal, and it looked like this map of stars, just little dots, about 20, 26 dots with lines and stuff. And so she was asking, where are you from? And the alien guy looked at her that went by, and look, scientists looking through a telescope and they connecting certain dots. It was the exact star map that she had written 10 years ago.
I don't know if that's actually true or not. I was just I found something to kind of introduce you to that story, but they were abducted. They apparently went onto an alien spaceship, just like remember our friend over here.
After death, maybe Jesus takes them by the hand. Maybe they follow.
Remember that what happened to this guy in the Book of Enoch happened to them.
Interesting.
If we go back here, this is Travis Walton. What happened to him was they were out in the forest doing logging, and they saw a UFO, and they saw a spacecraft. I'm not even going to call it a UFO anymore. They saw a spacecraft land in the middle of a field. They approached the spacecraft. He walks out to it. He gets too close. He gets zapped, and he gets taken on board the spacecraft. And then 3 days go by, and he's released. He returns to them, and he had 3 buddies with him when it happened. And of course, the 3 buddies were then accused of murder in his absence. But then he comes back, and they realize that, okay, well, there's no murder anymore. But all of them told the same story. There was a spacecraft in the field. He got too close. He got zapped. He got taken on board the spacecraft. They didn't know where he was for 3 days, and then he shows up in 3 days, well hydrated, well nourished.
So what did the craft itself look like?
It was a classic disc-shaped craft. The whole clearing was
lit up with this weird glow.
Did it have a color to it?
It was kind of a golden color. It wasn't like beams of light shooting out. It was just this haze of light. It started to move and started to get louder. There was a low thunderous kind of a rumble, and then there were other high-pitched frequencies. That was when.
So there's not dozens, there's hundreds of UFO stories that are credible, where, alien abduction stories, sightings, of course. You can say, okay, this one's false, this one's fake, this one's BS, this one is just a mistake. But when you have hundreds and thousands of the same stories over and over and over again, all throughout history, all saying the same thing, there comes a point where you have to change your thinking. It's like there's too many stories. It has to be something, right?
Yeah. I really want to find this story that I wrote as a child. It was the first story that I ever had published in a newspaper. And it was probably when I was in, I want to say 4th, 5th grade. And it was about an alien abduction.
Have you ever seen a UFO?
I believe so. And I think that as a child, I mean, I really haven't thought about this in a long time, but I do think as a kid, I spent a lot of time thinking about what it would be like, I guess, to spend time with aliens.
Mm-hmm. What did you see, if you don't mind sharing?
I mean, I don't know if I really want to talk about
Okay.
it, but my story that I wrote for this newspaper was very detailed from what I recall. So I'm really hopeful that I can find it. And if I can find it, I will share. Yeah, I'm fingers crossed. I can get my hands on it.
Perfect. That was the last UFO story that I had pulled up here. But so now you messaged me the other day, this website here. So the government has come out with all the UFO files, right? Not actually, but that's what they're saying. And there's this site here, which is the official government site that has Trump's name on it like 20 million times in every single paragraph, because I guess that's what happens nowadays. But I guess this one is supposed to be simplified or something. It's a search tool. I haven't actually looked at it. It says Home Document Archive Case File Database, FOIA, not FOIA, FOIA documents. Have you looked into this at all?
I have not. I just saw it and I was like, oh, this is going to be, this will be interesting to play around with. And it seems like the person who had created it was pretty jazzed about it. So I thought it would be fun for us to take a look.
It says 94 videos, but I click it and it does nothing. I want my money back. Where are the videos? It says Home Document Archive, maybe? The Black Vault. I don't, what's going on here? What?
Okay, well, maybe they're still working. Did you actually pay for anything?
No.
Okay, then.
But I go onto the official government site and it's like, okay.
Do you want to have to read propaganda or do you want the free version of?
Does this actually have a paid version?
I don't know. Can you use see the magnifying glass with the over there? Can you type in video?
UFO video. Here we go. See, well, I don't want an article. I want the UFO videos.
Okay, well, you move too fast sometimes. Just type in video. Just type in video. See, look with video. Look. That. Oh my gosh. You see? Second one, yep. What about that? Browsing with video. How about that? Any of those?
Well, this is the one I already know about. But if I go to the official site, like it's just, or at least the other day, it was really easy. Third thing of records here. Okay. This one is a PDF. That one's a PDF. Where are all the videos? Video. Here we go. This is easy.
Oh, I have another one I have one I could show you.
Okay.
Hmm.
These could be anything though.
Okay, this one is crazy. And this is from a guy who I really enjoy his Lego AI Lego videos, but he is very into but he is very into UFO alien stuff as well. And there's this video that he has been sharing, and I think he's doing some work on it, and I think he's trying to substantiate it. If you want to, if you want, you can pull it up, or I can.
Do we need to go to the BoopTube page?
It's on X. Here.
What is it again?
His name is Drew_Ponder.
This guy? Oh, this is a different guy. This isn't the guy I was thinking about.
Just wait. Okay, Drew_Ponder, and then media.
Yeah, this isn't the guy I thought it was. Media.
Okay.
This isn't the AI video guy.
Yep. No, but just wait a second. Wait a sec. Hold on. Because this video is pretty crazy.
Which one?
He's been posting this video and he's doing a bunch of work on it. And hold on one sec. I'll find it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. It's actually okay. Just go to his main feed, actually, instead of going to the media part.
Main
feed. Yep. Scroll down. Just past that. Just past that. And should be coming right up. Okay. Oh, wait. So it's right.
What am I looking for?
Right there. Let's see. I see reposted. It shows reposted on March 31st.
What does it look like? Project Blue Book one?
Wait, I thought that was it. Oh, yeah, the Project Blue Book one. I think, yeah.
Where did it go? Is it this one?
Yes.
This is 25 minutes long.
Well, just trust me. It's weird.
Is this an AI video?
So okay. He's sending this to Representative Luna, who is on this committee investigating, the UFOs, aliens, etc. And so he's saying, just tell us about this video. It's CGI, not a real alien, but that isn't the interesting part. The interesting part is what it says. Who made it? It appears to be advanced AI to me. When was it made? I first downloaded a copy in 2002.
What?
That's what it says in here. Why was it made? Warning. How did it get all the predictions right? and military info correct.
Well, how do we know it actually came from 2002?
This is what he is saying. And I trust he has been posting this over and over again. Like this is, he's been on this like repeatedly.
Yeah. Maybe we should have him on.
We should. How did it get all the predictions right and military info correct? Is it from the future or from something with information about the future? And are Greys just humans from the future who've traveled back in time after the apocalypse, millennium, 1,000-year events of their timeline? This is an HD copy that men
This isn't what they look like, though.
upscaled. Just hold on. It upscaled in 2016. I'm aware. This is the oldest copy that I can still find online, but it's the exact same video as I downloaded and watched back in 2002.
They're not this scary, though.
He's acknowledging that it's CGI
Oh, yeah?
and not a real alien, but that's not the interesting part. The
Oh.
interesting part is what it says. He's
Oh.
wondering who made it and why is it included in this Project Blue Book stuff, and why has it been around so long? And why were these predictions made? Why were these predictions made and things like that this long in advance? I mean, he could tell us more than just this says in this tweet, okay? But it is very interesting.
But what predictions?
Yeah.
Are they like really vague?
I'm not going to sum up a 25-minute video in like a couple of seconds. That's the point of having the person who's worked on this on.
Well, I'm just wondering how vague are the predictions? Because a lot of people will make like really vague predictions and then they come true because they're so vague. Of course they come true. So I don't know like how specific are the predictions? You know? I'm just scrolling through here. I'm not seeing anything that's like the artificial superintelligence. I mean, we've been talking about that for decades. Okay, we hate people who have different political and religious beliefs. Like, okay. Maybe if we had chat, maybe chat would be able to tell us what the specific predictions are. But we don't have chat. We'll have chat later, though. Or I will, at least. Maybe chat can tell me when we have chat. Yeah, I don't know. I would need to see what the specific predictions are. You know? But we have... So like there's like a lot of Bible predictions too that are really vague, and of course they come true because they're so vague. There's a lot of PDFs in this one. Back to the government site here. Looking for videos. Here's a video. Let's see this video. We're at 1 hour now, but I do have another segment to get to. But we want to go through this now. Whoa. That's pretty weird. I don't know what that one would be. So if you're just listening, there's like a sun in the sky, but it's not a sun. It's like a yellow disc, like a yellow sphere almost in the sky. And then there's 3 red dots coming out of the sphere. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop in here real fast because we have someone else who has entered the chat. I don't know if she's ready to come on yet. She hasn't told me, but we're going to try to pull in Keli here. Hello. I cannot hear you.
Maybe now? Maybe?
Now I can hear you. What's going on?
Hey, it's probably not going to be the greatest quality. You know, I'm kind of, is it really echoey? I don't have a mic set up or anything like that.
Great.
So I'm just winging it. It is not a Star of David hat. Oh my God, you guys. Okay, I'm out at the farm. I made this little hat at a conference last week. It is not a Star of David hat. Okay, trying to cover up my ratty hair. Y'all do not give me a hard time. You want me to look like this? I'll look like this. Jeez Louise.
So if you're just coming in, we are pre-recorded tonight. The main episode is pre-recorded, but I'm popping in and out, and it looks like Kelly is here too. So we just wanted to pop in and say hi in the middle of the episode.
Hi. And by the way, it looks a little more like law enforcement, I think. It looks like it's kind of like more of like a nod to like a sheriff's badge, I think.
Kind of does.
And
like a Star of David.
not a Star of David that doesn't have the circle in it. It looks like a sheriff. But then also the lightning bolts and then rhinestones. Y'all need to cool it, okay?
Denim and Rhinestones? That one
I
song?
mean, and like I think everybody needs to just chill out. Thank you very much. I was at that creator conference. I got to make a free hat.
All right, I'm going to roll the clip again. Sphere just disappears. But that's like really slow video. I don't know what the deal with the frame rate is. Do you know of any interesting ones, Kelly, that came out?
No, to me, most of them just looked junky.
Yeah, me too. But anyway, let's go back to the energy of the episode. And let's go back to here. So in situ resource manufacturing, what I propose is that the pyramid and a lot of the ancient structures that look not like tombs, like the pyramids and all that kind of stuff, they're probably chemistry plants. And that theory comes from, what's his name? There's this guy, Jeremy Drum. I'm going to give him a shout out again. And that's his theory, is the chemistry stuff. Land of Chem is what his channel is called. And basically, the theory is that all of these structures, or not all of them, but most of them, are chemistry. But this is his channel here. And so, okay, what does that mean? If they were chemistry, if the red pyramid is an ammonia plant, we can actually go to this view here. If the red pyramid is an ammonia plant, how do we get from that to aliens? Why can't it just be really smart humans using the pyramid to do agriculture? Well, it's because it's too big. We don't know how to really build pyramids today. They're just too big. Even with our machinery, we really can't do pyramids. Real advanced technology in order to do pyramids, because it's just not practical at all. Like, at all. We can't build pyramids because it's just too difficult. Like, it takes way too long to cut the stone, and we could probably figure out how to get the cranes to work. I'm sure we could figure out how to get the cranes to work, but it's just way too much. It's like 2 million stones that make up the Great Pyramid. It's not actually, because it has a core that's probably mostly dirt, but it's at least 1 million of those stone blocks. And we just don't really know how to do that efficiently because we don't have the technology for that. And if you're saying that someone in an ancient, like prehistorical context was able to do that, here's what I'm getting at. The scientific understanding required to build a pyramid, the Great Pyramid, is significantly more sophisticated than the construction methods or building materials. You would expect someone with that scientific knowledge to do what we do, right? If they're on this planet. I'm not explaining it very well right now because it's like almost 3 a.m. now. what I'm trying to get at is the complexity of the monument, of the pyramid, of the Great Pyramid, is extremely sophisticated, but the building materials are extremely primitive. And now you're yawning too.
I know.
When you have extremely sophisticated architecture using extremely primitive materials, that leads me in the direction of in situ resource manufacturing, because the person who is intelligent enough to do that should have been intelligent enough to figure out material science and all these other things that would lead you in every direction other than pyramid. I can probably elaborate on that better if it were not 3 a.m. in the morning, but that's the basic gist. This very simple form of it is the building, the sophistication is way more than the structure itself. And this is really weird. And I think a good explanation is in situ resource manufacturing because of this stuff right here. I think it's pretty compelling. And then I'm going to continue building this out here. We look at this right here, the chapter in Genesis saying the sons of God came down. I think that's probably extraterrestrials coming down from spaceships, and they intermarried with humans. Probably, well, this would have been well after the genetic manipulation thing, but it's probably extraterrestrials who came down. That's probably what they're talking about. And that probably has something to do with the Nephilim. It's probably extraterrestrials is probably what they're talking about. And they're not using the word extraterrestrial because they think it's magic. They don't understand the concept of outer space. They just think that people who come from the sky must be God or sons of God. They don't understand science. So that's just their language. But I think it's probably extraterrestrials. In this theory, I'm not saying for sure, but in this theory, it's probably people with technology. It's probably people with spacecraft, perhaps even like the spacecraft that I can find it. Maybe it's people who have spacecraft. You can't see my screen. Maybe it's people who had spacecraft like this, is the sons of God. Because if you have this, okay, this is the cool thing about the spacecraft here. If this is real, and if it weren't disabled, because this one is partially disabled, if this is real and it's not disabled, this one's disabled because one of these is cut out. This is part of the technology. But anyway, if this were real and it's not disabled, you can just go to the moon. You can just go to Saturn in an afternoon and come back. You can go to Proxima Centauri. You can go to the sun. You can go anywhere in the Milky Way galaxy in a weekend. If this is real, if this is true. And so now we're going to get to Neil Armstrong. Let's play this one more time.
Breakthroughs available to those who can remove one of truth's protective layers.
There's a lot of interpretations of what happened with the Apollo program, but my interpretation is this. Well, first, Kelly, I want to include you in this. What do you think we landed on the moon?
Oh man, don't ask me that.
What does your gut tell you?
I mean, I want to believe so. And I think we're echoing.
Really?
Yeah. I thought I just heard an echo, but maybe not.
Maybe not. I don't hear an echo.
Okay. I thought I did a second ago.
It messes up every once in a while. I think
Okay.
it's okay though.
Got it.
What I think happened, if Bob Lazar is telling the truth, and if this craft actually does exist, this craft here, where I'll give you the other view of it. If where's the wide view?
This particular disc.
No, I wanted the other one.
To be part of a back engineering.
Right here. If that exists, and if that's real, like Bob Lazar says, and like There's a lot of good reasons to think that's real, especially David Grush over here, right here. If this guy's telling the truth, and if Bob Lazar is telling the truth, we had that stuff during Apollo. Where is it? I hate this. I can't see the titles of any of these because they're so tiny. But if we had this during Apollo, we have to completely change how we look at Apollo. Because when JFK tells us that we're going to the moon and they realize we can't go to the moon, the people in the government the very small amount of people in the government who are read into the program with this thing, they're going to say, we went to the moon last Tuesday. We can't tell anybody that, but we have the ability to go to the moon, just not with conventional technology. So if this becomes an emergency where we're spending like half the GDP on trying to go to the moon, we need this to work. And it would be really stupid for us to let that mission fail and have the ability to go to the moon with this spaceship thing. So we should probably figure out how to use our alien spacecraft to assist Apollo so that, we can use conventional technology to go to the moon, but it's going to be assisted with the alien spacecraft in some way, shape, or form, whether that's expediting testing processes, something. I don't know exactly how they would have cheated, but I think they probably cheated by using, the stuff that we pretty much know that they've had for decades. Breaking in here with some breaking news on Kelly's hat. She has a screenshot here she would like to share.
Oh my God.
Is this ready to share?
It's ready to share. Hot off the press, everybody. Courtesy of AI. For all who are concerned. Yes, but I'll put my cap sideways if you want. What is the symbol called? Y'all can see how fast I was typing. I didn't even get to say called. The star with a circle in the middle. The design in your photo is essentially a stylized 6-pointed star hexagram with a central disc, but it doesn't correspond to a specific widely recognized symbolic name like Star of David or a law enforcement badge. In more technical design terms, people might call it a 6-pointed star with a circle center, a hexagram with a central medallion, a sheriff badge style star with a round center. Because of the bright colors and embroidery, this particular one looks more like a decorative or fashion graphic than a symbol with a standard fixed meaning. Yeah, maybe it is part of my 7 mountain mandate. Anyway.
There you go.
We're just making sure y'all are staying with us, paying attention, and knowing that even though we're doing a look live, we're still live.
Yeah, we're still here with you. We're going to go back to the episode now.
So I'm not as
all the way
ready,
back
but I'm
to Apollo. So if you accept that, yes, we have a reverse engineering program like David Grush in open Senate or Congress or whatever, I can't find it.
Recoveries, yeah.
Were they, I guess, human extraterrestrials? Okay, I can't ask when you spacecraft. Based on your experiment,
So if this is true, this stuff in the Congress hearing is true, you have to reconsider everything about Apollo, because we would have had that stuff back in the 60s. We would have been able to go to the moon in the 60s if it's true. This is in Congress.
Possession of potentially non-human spacecraft.
You have to reconsider all of Apollo if that's true, right?
Mm-hmm.
When people like say, "Oh, we couldn't have gone to the moon in 1969," they look at it in a vacuum, where we're only looking at the moon landing conspiracy theory. They don't look at it within the context of other conspiracy theories like UFOs. If you combine the two, one informs the other. You have to think, okay, well, we didn't go to the moon the way we said we went to the moon, but we probably did, because all of the conspiracy theory angles don't actually add up. They don't actually work. They all get debunked. But, you know, we could have gone to the moon if this is true. Now on to missing 411. What do we think that is? It's probably some kind of genetics testing program or something. Like you connect this to the alien abductions, that's probably what's going on. And there's even an alien abduction story where the person was abducted and then he said that he had some kind of genetic condition and then he was let go because of the genetic condition. So we think that it has something to do with genetics testing or something. They're taking us against our will to do something to us, and they sometimes bring us back, but not always. And then going on to the chromosome thing in our genetics, that ties into it as well. We probably have some friends out there that are doing stuff to us for their own purposes to some end. And then if we go to the moon thing, we're going to skip that. But I don't really know about the moon. There's a lot of weird things about it, but it's not all confirmed, but it's definitely pretty weird. And then onto the labyrinth thing. Yeah, it might be a spaceship down there. We don't know, but based on the scans, it could be. And then we'll wrap up on this one, and then we'll go into the live chat comments. But the ballistic missile, there's a lot of UFO activity around nuclear sites, and the hypothesis is that the aliens or the extraterrestrials or whatever, they monitor those sites to make sure that we don't blow each other up. And so when I heard about the Hawaii thing, I'm thinking, what if there was one and it got taken out by, you know, our Overwatch, and that was what happened. I don't know if that's true. It's probably not true, but it's interesting to think about. Then we'll get into these real fast. Where I cannot do this when I cannot see any of the titles.
By account?
But the aerial school, I have a really, I have a theory on that that's too difficult to get into right now. And then the Phoenix Lights, I think that's ground penetrating radar. Not like anything we have. I think they're looking for nuclear sites underground is what they were doing on the Phoenix Lights. I think it was a ground penetrating radar system that's like massive compared to anything that we have, because of the characteristics, the flight characteristics, really low to the ground, really slow. I think it was probably some kind of scanning system, some kind of scanning platform that was probably looking for stuff underground. That's what I think that was. I'm trying to find another one. The Travis Walton thing, like he probably got zapped and it was unintentional. They did not intend for him to get hurt. They had to take him aboard to get him fixed up. And then they let him go afterwards. I'm going to wrap this up here on a story, on a script that I wrote. I do these scripts where it's like someone really interesting sits down with Joe Rogan who would never actually sit down with Joe Rogan. But the ending of this script, it's one where an alien sits down with Joe Rogan and goes on Joe Rogan. Would never happen in real life, but it'd be super interesting if it did. So, Joe says, why should we believe in aliens? I'll actually pull it up here if I can. But Mac decides that if there's a full screen application in one window, it will not allow another window to pass. And it will not allow this one to pass either. So I have to make that one go small and find it again and make it go big so that now it's 2 pages. I don't want it to be 2 pages. I want it to be 1 page. Okay. Where is it? I lost my spot. So here we go. Joe says, why should we believe in aliens? The alien says, you have a global labyrinth of evidence beneath your planet going back thousands of years. That's thousands upon thousands upon thousands of problems you need to explain. No. Then Joe says, Phoenix Lights, Bob Lazar, thousands of military incidents, Ariel School, Roswell, Travis Walton, Betty and Barney Hill, Skinwalker Ranch, Cash Landrum, Stephen Greer, Chicago O'Hare, Washington, D.C., and dozens more going back thousands of years into ancient Egypt. Then Alien says, subtle? And then Joe says, why don't you just land on the White House lawn, though? And then the alien says, because we get shot. But then seriously, though, okay. And then this is the alien's final response, which is the last line in the play. Okay, this whole concept of disclosure is so stupid. There was never enclosure. We're not hiding from you. We're not playing peekaboo. We're basically your parents. This is the alien talking here. You've gone off to college now. You're an arrogant teenager. You think you know so much. You don't think anyone else exists. You think you know all there is to know except the stuff that no one knows. But there was a time when you were younger, when you still loved us, when you knew us, when you named your gods after us, when you built monuments to us, when you sang your songs about us, when you let us teach you. There has never been a single day in the history of your species when you didn't know about us. Not a single day. You put clues about us in your currency. We don't need to land on the White House lawn because we've never left and you've never forgotten. And that's the end of that play. I think it's a pretty cool play. But there's all kinds of symbolism in here that is kind of suspicious. So I'll leave it on that. What do you think, Kelly?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love that you pointed out the symbolism in the monetary system. I think that's so fascinating. My, especially Braden, my oldest son, is very into coin collecting and, different symbols in the dollars and coins and stuff. So anyway, he picks up on a lot of that stuff, and yeah, it's very fascinating.
There's a lot of stuff going on there, but we're going to go ahead and close it out for tonight because it's 3 a.m. my time and it probably feels like 5 a.m. for Kelly. So what I'm going to do now is I will be jumping in live for real because we're not actually live right now, and I'll be in video and I'll be in the chat. So, and I'll answer some questions.
Okay.
I'll be in the chat, I'll be in video, and we'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.
Right.
And we're back. I think Kelly, you're still there. You go.
There we go.
All right.
How's everybody?
So now that you've had time to kind of digest some of the stuff I talked about last night, what do you think?
I mean, there was a lot. I think in this case, there was so much that this was well, in a way, it was in a way similar to last week's episode where you did cover a lot of ground. And I know last night, because it was a different format in that it was a pre-taped show and we were both super tired, and I mean, or at least I definitely was super tired. And
What the audience doesn't know is that she was dealing with 80-degree heat through that whole show.
Oh yeah. I still have my air conditioner out at my house. So that's a lot too. I had like ice packs on my legs. It was like so hot. But anyway, we're committed to the cause. So yeah, there was a bunch of distractions. However, like, you did such a great job of presenting the topic, and I would really like to dive more into the congressional hearings, Jordan. Looking at those different, is it UAP hearings?
That's what they call them now, yeah.
Yeah, and to really like dissect some of those and learn more about what's already on the record, and then figuring out like what we can extrapolate from that, and then what contradicts what's on the record versus what's been released. Like that's where I sort of thrive. But yeah.
What I can tell you about that is the difficulty they have getting people to come forward who have testimony, who have direct testimony. They won't come forward because they don't have protection. They think bad things will happen to them if they do whistleblower stuff, and they've been trying to pass legislation that will protect them, but it has so far failed. So that's definitely interesting to look into, as well as what you said, like the exact testimony and things that you would be really good at assessing. So we're going to do maybe 25 minutes here of audience chat here, and we're going to end it at about 2 hours here. Let me make this full screen here so I can see it better. Lady Positive Thinker says, I believe it, the way they compartmentalized everyone that worked there at S4. It's definitely feasible that many people were involved with the same projects. So what we're talking about there is how in a conspiracy where you want to keep things secret, not necessarily a conspiracy, but when you have something you want to keep secret that's really big, you don't tell everybody everything. You only tell each person a very small amount, only the very, very small amount that they need to know. So that's what they're talking about there.
And I think it's how the conspiracy really, I mean, if you want to get into how conspiracies work, how they are, I mean, really, before this last year, I've thought a little bit over my life about conspiracy theories, things like that, but how an entire campaign runs, that's a whole different can of worms, and it's quite fascinating. And so I think for someone who is really wanting to like dig into UFOs, or even, you know, the Charlie Kirk situation, or Butler, or I mean, you guys, we have so many different topics, but when you look into disinformation and sort of intel, counter intel, and all of these different operations, people going missing, and then when you add social media into the mix, international interests, you know, it really gets messy pretty quick.
Now, on the topic of how a campaign runs, I don't have personal experience with campaigns, but I watched The Newsroom several times. And I think it's in season 2. There's a lot of episodes that talk about a campaign. And what I took away from it, I don't know if it's accurate or not, is that in a campaign, when you're inside of the bus, you live in a bubble, and every single thing that comes into the bubble is controlled. Does that seem right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. I mean, there are talking points, right? That at the end of the day, that's what talking points. It's like you're outlined more than just a mission statement, but these are the things that you're going to stick to. This is the framework, and if all else fails, this is what you're going back to, you know, and you know your parameters.
Mm-hmm. Jack says there's a great documentary on, I think, the Ariel School UFO incident. They brought in a psychologist from New York City to analyze the kids' testimony and found them to be telling the truth. Yeah, that psychologist is the guy who brought the story into the mainstream, I believe. Some of the kids, I believe, did recant many, many, many years later, but it's unclear. Like the story goes, all the kids all told the same story. They all seemed traumatized when it happened, and this psychologist a few years later visits them, and that's where most of the reporting came from. But it kind of is a single point failure, where if you don't like that psychologist, if you think he's scammy or something, then the whole thing can kind of crumble a little bit. But we do have a lot of testimony even today from the kids who saw that and still say that they saw what they saw. So it would be pretty incredible if all those kids were lying. It'd be pretty incredible. Trippy E says, all I know for sure is that somebody or something has technology that can talk telepathically and move very weird, possibly in and out of our dimension. Weird stuff. I know Kelly has some thoughts on telepathy.
I think I probably had 5 incidents today, easily. Easily.
Isaac Gold says, whether real or not, they will drop some kind of alien blue beam project on us soon. My guess would be 2028 to align with Baby Vanga. I don't know what that is.
Baba
But they're
Vanga?
Baba Vanga. I don't know what that is. Maybe someone in the chat now can tell us. But there's a theory that says that they're going to do a false flag alien invasion sometime here soon. That's going to be disclosure, but it's going to be fake. And they're going to use, so you know how Bob Lazar says that we had reverse engineered alien craft and like a lot of other people? What this theory says is that they're going to use the alien craft that they have, that they've reverse engineered, to fake an alien invasion in order to get whatever they want from us. So that's the theory that a lot of people are talking about right now. Anybody know what Baby Baba Vanga is? Baba Booey? Is that one of those weird things where they make you say something that sounds weird and then it's like a cuss word or something? I don't think so. I don't know. It doesn't seem like anyone in the chat knows either.
I mean, Isaac is usually spot on, though. I feel like Isaac has had good comments in the past, so I don't.
It says it is a mystic and healer.
Okay.
It seems to be an individual. Maybe they predicted an alien invasion. Maybe that's what happened.
Hold on. Sorry. Get Crunk said, Prophet also prophesied a tsunami on July 4th.
What?
Oh.
We have an episode possibly coming next week, possibly, that is going to be about a tsunami on July 4th, 2025. Possibly.
If we don't do it on that Thursday, we should do it the following Thursday because it will be literally right before the anniversary.
Yeah. So that's pretty weird. Well, why don't you send us, I don't know.
Yeah, I think GCL has my email as well. So if anybody has deets on Baba Vanga, send our way, Kelly at kellyrayvon.com, or try and prove it at gmail.com. Both.
There we go. We need to add our overlays.
Wow.
There we go. We have our overlays back now. Okay, next one. Apocalypse Now says, not sure what that remote viewing thing the guy was holding. Not sure what they're talking about specifically. Maybe that was a while ago. But my comments on remote viewing are, I think, Kelly, do you know what remote viewing is?
In what context?
In the context of conspiracy theories?
Well,
I'm going to take that as a no.
I've heard I've heard about it in terms of like a remote viewing, that there's like this weird subsect of people who are like into watching like murders and stuff.
No.
Okay.
The remote viewing in this context is people say that they can close their eyes and meditate and they can like project themselves into someplace else and see someplace else. So if I wanted to see the inside of the White House and the Oval Office, if I were a remote viewer, I can just go and think about the Oval Office and see inside the Oval Office. That's what remote viewing is.
Gotcha.
But what I think that is because that's used in espionage by like the CIA. I think it's just a cover story for conventional espionage. So if you have conventional espionage into a super secret place of your enemy and you get really useful information from it, you can't reveal how you got that information because then you compromise your spies. So what you do is you invent this remote viewing conspiracy theory where you say that, oh, the way I got that information is someone just did and meditated and they just projected themselves into the space so that now the enemy is not looking for the mole. That's what I think it is. So I'm not a remote viewing believer.
We'll have to come back to that. That could be a whole other show.
Yeah.
I mean, can you tell that I have maybe a personal opinion on that? Maybe, yeah.
I'm open to the idea. I just think it's way too convenient for it to all be associated with espionage.
I mean, maybe it's reserved for some of us GT kids. We'd have to take a survey.
Yeah. Lady Positive Thinker says, what do you think the real message from Disclosure Day is? I think it's that aliens are real. And I'm trying to get Kelly to go see it sometime soon.
Mm-hmm.
Lady Positive Thinker also says, I've done some research on Bob Lazar. He definitely proved himself to me. I have as well. I've never seen any compelling reason to discredit him. There's been a lot of attempts, but those attempts have all failed, in my opinion. I find him to be credible. I would be shocked if he was lying the whole time. And basically everyone who has ever met him in person and interviewed him believes the same thing, that he's a straight shooter. He's just telling people what he saw. I don't see any red flags in him at all. And again, that's the guy who said he worked at Area 51 on UFOs. Just a normal dude, doesn't want attention. He's told the same story for decades now. No drama. He just wants to tell the world what he saw. Apocalypse Now says, and NASA says now that they erased the moon. Okay, so NASA erasing the moon landing data, that's greatly overstated by a lot of people. A lot of people say that they erased everything or a massive chunk of everything from the moon landings. That's not true. I think they recorded over a backup and that was basically it. You definitely don't want to record over a backup, but it wasn't like we lost a significant amount. It was like a backup, and yeah, it sucks, but it's not like we actually lost data. So I think that's greatly overstated. So it's not like they deleted it because the data was BS. It's because someone made a dumb mistake and it was just a backup anyway, so no big deal. Jeffrey McDowell says that is why they closed off a lot of the Grand Canyon. There's a huge Grand Canyon conspiracy theory. Egyptology is connected to Stargate aliens. I don't know about that. Hydrographics, I don't know what that means, was found in caves there. But the Grand Canyon conspiracy theory says there are caves in the walls of the Grand Canyon that are basically Egyptian tombs or something. So there's Egyptian stuff in the Grand Canyon. And the Park Service restricts people from going anywhere close to it. So that's a pretty cool thing to look into if you want. Snake Baby says, I don't know much about the Book of Enoch or the Dead Sea Scrolls, but isn't the Bible supposed to be about Jesus and not aliens? Well, this is the Old Testament, but the Book of Enoch. So the story there is the Book of Enoch is basically just another book of the Bible. Originally back then, in the thousands of years ago, when the Dead Sea Scrolls came about, there was no Bible, there was no canon. It was just a bunch of scattered letters, and the canon came much later. But the process by which they developed and decided what to include in the biblical canon to determine what would become of our current Bible, that process was rather subjective. And when you look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, this is okay. Someone went into a cave and they found a pot that had the Dead Sea Scrolls in them. And then that was by far the oldest, most original version of the Bible. Well, when you look into what they found there, the Book of Enoch was there too, in the same pot. So it would be natural to include the Book of Enoch in the Bible, but the reason they didn't was because it was too like UFO alien stuff. So it was rather subjective, but it would naturally be included in the Bible if it weren't for the alien stuff. And again, that is the book where it doesn't say aliens, but when you interpret it from a modern lens, it's like, dude, they took you to space. They had a spaceship. That's what happened to you. But it's the way it's written makes it sound like, oh no, I went to heaven. I talked to angels and they had magical glowy orb things. No, you went to a spaceship in space. That's the Book of Enoch. Rob Rice Ridge says, I had a classic saucer right above me in 97, Penn Valley, California for 3 minutes. Yeah, we have a few reports here. The next few comments here are people who saw UFOs. Kelly saw a UFO, I think, but she doesn't want to talk about it. Lady Positive Thinker says, I live by SpaceX in Florida. While kayaking near there, I accidentally caught a UFO on camera. It definitely looks man-made to me. The interesting thing there is, if Bob Lazar's story is true and we have reverse engineered alien spacecraft programs, there are UFOs that are man-made and ones that are actually of alien origin. So it's definitely possible. You saw one that exhibited the characteristics like instantaneous acceleration, no means of propulsion, complete silent propulsion, or the really bizarre shape, and it would have been man-made if some of this stuff is true. Jack P says, I saw a UFO in 97 with my dad, aunt, and uncle in Ontario, Canada. If my voice can work tonight. It was unbelievable to see a craft that large defying gravity with no sound of an engine. Yep, that's one of the observables. No, these things are completely silent. My aunt told us to come in off. There's that logo again. There's that one account on X that has been messaging me, or I messaged him, and that's his account logo on X. And then I saw in that video, wait a second, that's that same logo. So then I looked up Bucky's or Butchies or whatever it is.
Bucky's?
It's like, oh, that's what that logo is. Yeah.
I told you about Bucky's today when I stopped there.
Yeah, but I didn't realize that that was the logo.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's that one account on X.
Oh, I don't know who you're talking about.
Photo. That's where I saw that from.
That's funny.
But anyway, yeah, one of the main observables of these UFOs is that they're completely silent. They just hover off the ground in the sky and you can't hear them. Or if you can hear them, if they're very close, it's just a low hum. It's not like an engine. Isaac Gold says, I didn't see a saucer, but I saw something with the red lights separate into 3 red lights and slowly fly away from each other in different directions. That one UFO video that we showed earlier was pretty similar to that. From UFO.gov or whatever it was in the official releases. Amanda Killian says, I believe I've seen many UFOs, one time with my daughter when she was 4. She saw first and asked if aliens were nice. See, that was the original intention of this episode, was for me to focus on humanizing aliens, I guess. Kind of a weird thing to set out to do. But I want you to think of aliens perhaps as, people like us who, are actual people, are actual characters who have thoughts, beliefs, opinions, emotions, and all that kind of stuff too. Because when we just think of them as these creatures, these fictional creatures in Steven Spielberg films, then it's hard for it is harder for us to come into acceptance of the idea that they're real, because they're just caricatures. But if we think of them as people who could go on Joe Rogan, then it becomes a lot more easy to, accept them as a real thing in the real world. Jack P says early on in the 50s at the time, it would have been incredibly irresponsible for our government to come out and say, yeah, we know they're out there, but we have no idea who they are or what. That's basically what they did at Roswell. they came out and said that they had they didn't say it was an alien ship, but they said that it was a crashed flying saucer. And those didn't exist back then. There have been a couple programs where we've developed flying saucers, but they never went anywhere because with conventional propulsion, a flying saucer kind of sucks. You can't control it. It doesn't go very fast. It's just not how you want to build a craft using conventional Newtonian physics. But the alien stuff, the gravitics, is the reason why you would have a saucer shape. So yeah, if they found a saucer out there and it was an alien, they probably shouldn't have just come out with full disclosure at that point. So I would agree, yeah. Ooh, this is interesting. I just watched or listened to, because I never actually watch YouTube videos, I just listened to them. But the Baltic Sea anomaly, there's a lot of cool stuff on that. There's like this really weird thing at the bottom of the Baltic Sea that kind of looks like that Han Solo spaceship. Like that's the shape it's in, and it's about the same size. So it's basically like a spaceship at the bottom of the Baltic Sea. And there's some pretty cool documentaries on YouTube about it. But yeah, they tried to get a stone sample to bring up to the surface. They dived on it, and they like walked over it and stuff. But they
Jordan,
couldn't get it.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If you could have a UFO or an alien encounter, okay, on your terms, how would you, what would it look like?
I would ask them, what is our history as a species?
Not just what you would ask them, but like describe what the encounter would look like. Like, would they pick you up? Would you, like,
I think the most common abduction scenario is they pick you up when you're sleeping. Or if you went out into there's specific woods, there's specific forests you can go to. Like I can go find like the specific forest you go to get abducted by aliens. And you can go there, and if you are lucky, you can get abducted by aliens there because that's where they go to abduct people. Yeah.
how do you think that they pick who they want to abduct? Like, do they stalk their prey or do they just go for convenience? Or
Well, they do it mostly out in the forest and super remote areas so that people don't see them. But then there's the other cases where they just pick people up like in their beds too. So that's why like in my script I say that there's multiple programs. My throat doesn't always work. There's multiple programs. So like how we as humans have multiple programs doing stuff with science, different people in charge of different programs with different MOs, so to speak. With the aliens, there might be this program doing this thing and then that program doing that thing, and they might behave differently, perhaps. But yeah, there's specific forests you can go to that will significantly increase your chances. But if I were to encounter them, I would ask them who built the pyramids and how, and what was going on this planet like 12,000 years ago, and what is our history as a species. Like last week, there's so much missing information there that I want to know.
Mm-hmm.
Baba Vanga prophet who sometimes prophesies fatalistic events. Yeah. Go ahead. You want that one?
Mystic Mama AE said, yes, Kelly, we definitely need to have a show on GT and remote viewing. Would love to hear your experience. I'm all for it. It's going to like open up the mind for me. It's something that is buried deep down, but definitely was a big part of my childhood. So I'm very interested in doing that. And I'm like so excited to know that so many people in this space are interested in hearing about that as well. Jordan, when I see your face start getting so expressive, I know
What's
that
GT?
GT, gifted and talented.
Oh. Sorry, continue.
It's okay. It's okay. As Jack P says, Gran Turismo. I don't know if that one would
That's
resonate
what
with
Google told me. It says, what does GT stand for? The letters GT stand for Gran Turismo.
Oh my goodness. Yep. So I you know, I don't know if a lot of folks have, because I grew up in a small town, I know a lot of people who were in like my GT class. And it also goes by GATE, gifted and talented education, I think is what the E stood for. But anyway, same difference, same concept, same oddities, whatever. But anyway, that I could also like reach out to people who experienced this alongside me, to kind of like validate my story. But I think it would also be interesting to hear from people of other parts of the country. Like, I don't know. I'm curious. Maybe the chat can weigh in as to like what they think would be most interesting for them to hear about.
Yeah, we can definitely get
Yeah.
pretty deep on that. Constitution Hero says he should investigate the underground city below Denver International Airport. I was just there, by the way, when I went to UVU. There's a great Y-Files episode on that. It's been a while since I've listened to that, but I think it's been a while. Do you know about that? You lived in Denver.
I do. I know about it, but like it's something that we really have to dive deep into. It's not just like a couple minute thing. I mean,
Yeah.
everything from the you know, the blue Bronco on the outside with the red eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, it goes deep.
All I remember is that was I hadn't been to an airport in a while, and the thing that was interesting to me was that they have the escalators that don't go up and down; they're just flat. So
Oh
that
my
was the thing I
gosh, you
took away
guys,
from that.
when Jordan messaged me that, I was like, Jordan, you got to get out more often.
I haven't flown in a while.
But look, it's the pot calling the kettle black, because I mean, I've been holed up in my house for a while too. So
All right, we're gonna close it out here. Any other interesting ones here? My daughters were in GATE, never saw it abbreviated. Thank you. Thank you.
okay, but Jordan, we have been literally talking about GATE and GT interchangeably for like the last several weeks. So don't be
United
acting.
thanks. You
Don't
had
be-
me up to like 4:30 a.m. last night.
Okay. Oh, thank you, GCL. Yeah, it says Texas calls it GT. Yep.
Sorry, Ruby. We have a new rule here where we're trying to keep shows shorter, and I know Kelly is traveling right now, and I need to get to sleep. So we're gonna cap the show here at about 2 hours now.
Yeah. But you can always
for any
start
others.
back up at the beginning. Yep. And yeah, and definitely comment. You know that we're really good at engaging with the comments on the streams and the posts. Ruby said GT was a psyop. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think GT messed with my head.
Yeah.
Now that I'm kind of thinking back, well, maybe it made me who I am today. But anyway.
Maybe there's aliens in the chat right now.
Could be. Is the GATE program when you're younger, or does it go into high school? Let's see. So I started it when I was in 3rd grade. Now, I got to tell you guys, the town that I grew up in, there are 2,500 people in the entire town. 2,500 people. So literally one public school. And there were 57 people in my graduating class. And technically there was just one because I graduated early. So at the mid-year. Yeah, it went all the way through. I got pulled out from 3rd grade all the way up, from what I recall.
Mystic Mama says, thank you, Kelly and Jordan. Coach Colin shouted you two out.
Really?
He follows me on X and then like occasionally hearts my X posts from time to time. So that's terrific. I didn't know that though.
I didn't know that either. What was the context?
Hopefully all good things.
I'm like, I don't know.
I haven't watched the show in forever, so I don't know.
I tend to not usually be on the PC side of things. I drag Jordan over to the dark side.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and close it out here so I can go to sleep. Thanks for dropping in, Kelly. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much for your patience and flexibility. Thanks to everyone for being here tonight.
All right. Good night, everyone. We will see you next week.
Awesome. We'll see you guys.
Bye.